In confirming thy common resurrection, O Christ God, thou didst raise up Lazarus from the dead before thy passion. Wherefore we also, like the children.
Blessed Palm Sunday to all of you. Today I'd like to offer you a short little reflection on this feast day. In particular, the cult that Christ rode upon. What is very fascinating about this cult when we read the writings of the Holy Fathers and some of the hymnography of the Church as well, the Holy Fathers are always talking about how this cult is a symbol of you and I. The cult was tied up, and Christ tells his disciples to go and untie the colt and bring it to him so that he can ride on it into Jerusalem. Well, like the colt was tied up, it was bound up, you and I are also bound up. We are tied down by our passions. We are enslaved to them. And Christ comes to free us of our passions so that then he can bring us closer to himself. This is one beautiful message from that angle of the cult. But another even more amazing feature of this cult is that this cult had not been taught for a person to ride it. It had not been subdued. It had not been trained. And so naturally, the cult should have reacted kind of aggressively and try to run away from the disciples when they went to untie it and bring it to Christ. But amazingly, beautifully, by the power of God's grace, the cult was made subdued. It was subservient. It was obedient to the disciples. And then when they bring it to Christ himself, another amazing thing happens is that Christ then mounts this cult. He sits on this cult, and instead of the cult bucking him off and tossing him off and acting wild and aggressive and trying to run away, all the more was this cult calm and peaceful and obedient and allowed Christ to sit on it and to ride into the city of Jerusalem. You see, brothers and sisters, we are oftentimes like the cult. We are like untamed beasts. We are wild because of our passions, because of our sinful passions, pride, greed, lust, arrogance, judging, envy, whatever it may be. And these disturb, they agitate our heart. But Christ comes. He comes to us as our king, as our peaceful king, and he comes to free us of our passions. And in freeing us of our passions, he enters into our heart and he is enthroned on our heart. And in that way, he subdues, he pacifies, he makes calm, he stills our agitated heart. And he gives us his heavenly peace through this. Beloved, let us be like the cult. Let us be obedient to Christ. Let us allow him to enter into our heart, to sit on our heart, so that then he can subdue and tame our wild, beastly, sinful passions, and so that he can then ultimately give us a peaceful, calm, still heart. And this is what the Holy Fathers describe as hezekiah of the heart. In other words, stillness, calm, peace. This is what Christ comes to give us, as he says in John's Gospel, chapter 14. He says, "My peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." This is what Christ is coming into Jerusalem to give us, not just, of course, especially to overcome sin and death through his death and his resurrection, but through this act of coming into Jerusalem on a colt. He is exemplifying, he is telling us in this action of his that he comes as our King of Peace to give us his peace, not as the world gives peace. That's a superficial, temporary, fading, fleeting peace. He comes to give us a heavenly, eternal peace that truly, truly fulfills us and makes us whole. So let us be like the colt. Let us be obedient to Christ when he comes and enters into our heart through prayer, through the sacraments, through asceticism, and he grants us his peace. Let us then be on guard, and let us be watchful and make sure that we don't toss him off of our heart. Let us be careful not to buck him out of our heart through our sinful passions. Let us never return to the land of the passions, but let us remain in the upper room, the heavenly Jerusalem. Let us be with Christ at all times, no matter what. Amen.